Hi, how are you? How are you, Mr. Ashtosh?
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay. How are you, Mr. Ashtosh?
Yes, I'm fine.
Okay. How are you, Mr. Ashtosh?
Yes, I'm fine.
By the name of Allah, and all the peace be upon Prophet Muhammad, you are all welcome to your conference, the international first conference, which is Bevol, for volunteering and foreseeing the future and finding alternatives. And the beginning of today, which is we hope that it would be a very good start. We have Dr. Faleh Al-Ruwaili. He's from Bahrain. We are honored to have him. Ms. Safa Qaddo would introduce him. So, Ms. Safa, the floor is yours. And after that, we would listen to many benefits that Dr. Faleh would talk to us about. So, Ms. Safa, please, peace be upon you all. By the name of God, the most gracious and most merciful, we welcome you all, and we are happy for your participation in our first conference and for volunteering. With the first section of this session, we have the first lecture, which is about new perceptions of the future of volunteering, presented by Dr. Faleh Al-Ruwaili from Bahrain, a PhD from Business Administration, a consultant of the Arab Union for Volunteering, and the head of Sheikh Noor Isa Al Ali Committee for Volunteering Projects, and the head and a member of the institution of Fahd bin Al-Amir for volunteering. So please, Doctor, the floor is yours. Peace be upon you. In the beginning, I'd like to thank you very much for having me and giving me the chance to participate in this conference. And I hope that this conference would achieve its objectives. At the beginning, in 2007, I participated in one of relief teams in an African country. So I was convinced to go and participate there uh, in this relief team, not to provide support, but to follow the program and the schedule there and to take notes. It's about taking care of the cultural part of this trip, because human beings care about different things and variety of things. So I can say that that visit was really effective. And I remember the one of the scenes, of the many scenes that among any different scenes that I've noticed there, that when I distributed simple pieces of sweets to children, I noticed how happy they were. They were very happy, extremely happy. Compared to other children who are in other societies, who they have everything they want, but they feel that they still need things. This is something relative, this is because of the consumption culture. This scene was really effective, and from there I started to take care, I started to be interested more in volunteering. I'm going to talk about kind of foreseeing the future, and what I'm going to say is it could be a result of my work since 2015 in Sheikh Isa bin Ali committee, or Al Amir Ali bin Fahad, and these gifts are by partnership with the Arab League and with a number of international organizations and some UN agencies. This type of work gave us momentum to me and to other members with me in the committee, and gave us a deep perception to have some elements of volunteering to determine on the path of volunteering and other elements, because we've studied many participation. First of all, they were only in Arab countries, but later on they were wider than that. We've noticed that there is a big difference among the initiatives suggested by different countries. Sometimes we noticed that there is a big difference among even the volunteering teams themselves in the same country. Some initiatives were really unique and distinguished, while others need more work to make them better. I think that for seeing the future of volunteering, we have to depend on main things. These main points depend on the core and the value of volunteering. Some of these points are about individual things, and we see that the one meaning of the word of volunteering, which is like what yourself allows you to do. And if you make iron, you work on iron, you make it easy, simpler and flexible. So we think that there is something individual, something personal, and the initiative comes from something within the person to exert effort and to do something. And as I mentioned from the beginning, I know that everybody has different interests, and this is something good to have a variety of interests and variety of skills. In this way, we can cover largest scope of work. And I think that volunteering would stay as long as humans are there. Volunteering would stay as long as life continues. And here I recall Prophet Muhammad's hadith: if it's the doomsday and you have a small tree and you can plant it, just plant it. So there are many religious texts in different religions that encourage volunteering. Even if it is the doomsday and you still can do something voluntarily, like planting a little tree, do it. So volunteering would stay as long as life continues on earth. Why? Because the needs of human beings are not ended, and working on these things and these needed would never end. And one of the main points that we find in volunteering, which is the duty, and here we have a crisis of ideas that many cultures and societies, I can say that some societies or Arab societies are interested in rights more than duties. They talk a lot about rights, and we find that they talk a lot about rights, but talking about duties, this is what we have to focus on. And here I think that it is a good idea to point Malik bin Nabi, the Algerian philosophy, who focused on the culture of duty more than focusing on the culture of rights. And the society that cares about duties and finds that people have their duties toward themselves and toward others and toward society and toward even the whole world, it should be a lively society, moving to provide help voluntarily. So I think that one of the critical demands, it's the demand that thinks that volunteering should have a limited, a legal framework, which is legalization of volunteering. I think that this is something really dangerous, because in this way you put many instructions or conditions as if you are putting barriers in front of volunteering. So if we raise this question, the responsibility of volunteering is on whom? It's the responsibility of different parties. It's not only the responsibility of the country, the modern countries that raised after the 16th and 17th century in Europe. It's not limited to the country. It is it's the responsibility of different parties and different components. And let me say, it is the responsibility of individuals. As Prophet Muhammad said, while a man was walking on the road, he found a branch. So he moved the branch from the middle of the road. So God, God rewarded him for this. There are many hadiths and texts that we can use to enhance the value of the individual volunteering work, and this is a kind of encouraging people to volunteer. So the responsibility of volunteering in the first place, it is the responsibility of individuals. Anybody can do this. You know, volunteering can be only by giving a smile. There are no instructions, there are no barriers or limits for volunteering. You may do you might participate in volunteering by smiling to others, or to put your hand on the head of an orphan. You might support someone emotionally, even if you remove any harm from the road. You would be rewarded from God by doing this. So it's not only about doing something very big or great. It's simpler than that. Everybody can do something voluntarily, even by doing something very simple. And from the experiments I can see, which is really inspiring by Arab youth, and I actually want to mention these examples from those youth who came from countries that were through hardships and crisis, because in this way nobody can find a good excuse to not volunteer. For example, one of the projects was about a young man, Munzer Hamdan from Gaza, worked on a project which is to dedicate part of his salary to make use of some available raw material. They could be garbage or something that people got rid of. So he brought them and recycled them, and he made out of them a new tools, so people who have amputation or with disabilities, they can use these things to improve the quality of their life. So he did something from his situation. By using his skills, he did something really great, and he helped dozens of young people who suffered from war in Gaza. This is one of the greatest examples that I've seen, and it was actually rewarded at the institution of Prince Mohammed bin Fahad. Another project which is Thawrat al-Danabar, and Danabar, it's little machines that we use to move the rubbles out. And to move the destruction of houses or buildings. One of the young people in Iraq, his name is Ayub, in Mosul, and this project was implemented after 2017, where the city was completely destructed after driving out the terrorist group there. So this young man, he did something really great by using the help of internet network to get support. So he funded his project to be able to move out more than 21 cubic meter of destruction out of the city. Under situation, we can't say that it is a humane situation. And through history, when we before moving to history, these are examples, real examples that was implemented. These examples were set by those really young people. And when you read through history, if you want to talk about volunteering in a human life and about innovation didn't stop only in a certain minute. For example, when I talk about Waqf, which is an Islamic thing, that means to dedicate some projects for relief things, like schools, like mosques, like printing box. We find that there is an innovation of projects, of nice projects. I can remember what we call it, Waqf for cats. In Damascus, for example, there was Waqf for cats, Waqf for milk, and Waqf for broken utensilities. So it's better to give this bottle, for example, to the Waqf without going to home and getting blamed by his family. So I talked about the responsibility of individuals and the social responsibility toward volunteering. When I'm talking about social responsibility, I mean it's the responsibility of all social organizations, civil organizations, and institutions. Of course, from my own experience in the institutions and the committees I belong to, we have to praise them because they are providing nice work. Like Sarahya Kiraman, they have the project which is entitled Al Gharimun. This project is trying to help people who need money, and maybe they were imprisoned because of this. Some of them spent long months in prison without seeing their families, so they helped them in this project. So volunteering is the responsibility of everybody without any exception. To move on to another point I'd like to talk about, and I think I'm left with only 5 minutes. Currently, we have to realize an important thing, which is that knowledge is accumulate. It's about accumulation, and there is a great leap in science. And when we read history, we find that most of the civilizational leaps were related to humanitarian knowledge. For example, 500 AB. For example, before history, they discovered papers, and after that they had the printing. Gutenberg discovered the printing machine. Till the end of the 20th century, we have different innovations. These big leaps we have to pay attention to, especially in volunteering. Why? Because there are big changes, and we have what we call it social networks. Authority Danaber Ayoub from Mosul in Iraq, he used Facebook to reach the largest number of young people, of volunteers. So this is a very important point that we have to consider. I I I checked a study. It's about the role of Facebook in volunteering, and it was in 2019, written by Muntaha Al-Kayani from Jordan. The results might be very spontaneous, but they said that Facebook is something really active to promote volunteering, and it helps to introduce volunteering to university students and to encourage them to participate in volunteering. So these initiatives, by these initiatives, you can today use the technological and the technological development, and even the humanitarian relationships. It's not only because the relationships we have today, it's not like in the past. It's now something about networking. Now there is complicated technology which forms infrastructure, and these networks can reproduce the political and economic relationships. So it is really important to develop volunteering, to make use of networks, of electronic networks, the available ones. And finally, I'd like to talk about data, large amount of data. We have data that helps us reconsider the volunteering and the initiatives that we have to provide. If you feel that there is a need, this is something good. But before you start volunteering in one activity, you have to study this activity before you face other problems. There is a rule which is that to avoid harm is better than bringing something good. So, and I remember that I read about one campaign in America. They noticed that the car accidents percentage was very high. So when they studied this case, they found out that the drivers were on alcohol. So when they drive, they make accidents. So the idea was to provide cars for those drunk people so they can reach their houses safely. It's a nice idea, but what's next? What happened next is that many people were addicted to alcohol. Why? Because people because people felt safe that they can reach their homes safely anytime. So drinking alcohol became more and more increased. And this is one of the studies. And there was another study that I read about Kenya when they provided condoms for men to reduce AIDS. What was increased, on the contrary, we have the illegal relationship, sexual relation in the country. So we have to pay attention.
Miss Maya, I believe we cannot hear you. Sorry, Miss Maisa.
By making
Of the developments we have. I'm not going to keep you long because I think that I'm short of time. If you have any questions, I'm available to answer them. And peace be upon you. Peace be upon you. Thank you, Dr. Faleh, for this valuable presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, volunteering is a connection between individuals and people and the world around us. And the volunteering was made by simple steps and about our conscious that works actually to make that effect in societies. Ladies and gentlemen, now we move to show you a success story from the United Kingdoms under the title of Students for Children. But sir, give us just 2 seconds for the changing the channel.
Okay, welcome from the English channel now. Hi everyone who's watching us on YouTube, everyone who's watching us from the main portal on Exposium, those who are with us live on the channel on Zoom. Now we will have a success story presented by our dear Emily Tan from the UK. The name of the initiative is very interesting. It's Students for Children. And now we'll have Emily presenting us. Dear Emily, the floor is yours, please.
Hi everyone. First of all, it's really nice to see everybody here talking about volunteering. It's a topic very close to my heart, and I'm so happy to meet so many people who are as interested in it as I am. And thank you so much for inviting me here to share a bit, I guess, about my experiences with it, as little as they have been. Let me just share my presentation.
Sure. I guess we will just need, like 1 minute because they're shifting from the channels for the
okay.
For the simultaneous translation. But you can still like have your screen on, and we'll repeat the introduction again. I will just introduce you one more time.
Okay.
Okay, I believe we're live now. So again, I'll just do the introduction very briefly. We're having our first success story of the day, first success story presentation by Emily Tan from the UK. And the name of the initiative is Students for Children, as you can see from the presentation. Welcome to everyone who's watching us on YouTube again, from the main portal on Exposium, or those who are with us live on Zoom. Dear Emily, the floor is yours this time.
Hi everyone. As I was saying earlier, I just wanted to thank you guys for inviting me to this conference. I think it's truly a wonderful and beautiful thing what is going on in these few days, because I've never met so many people who are as interested and passionate about giving, about volunteering as I have today, and I have in the presentations I've listened into. I guess I'll just give a very brief introduction. So my name is Emily. I'm currently a student at the London School of Economics in the UK. And for the past year, I've been running this society called Students for Children, as mentioned. So I guess I'll just jump right into what this is. So Students for Children, we're basically a student society based in LSE. And what we do is that we have three kind of distinct wings, but they're all centered around volunteering. They are fundraising, advocacy, and mentoring. And with these three different wings, we have about 60 members every single year who participate in all of our volunteering events, and many more who give their time or their funds to our initiatives. So I thought I could just go through each of the three wings, some things I've learned over the year from planning all of our volunteering initiatives, and some support we've received from our school that maybe could help other people design programs for themselves. So our first wing is the fundraising wing. So some very basic information. We mainly raise funds for Save the Children. They're our biggest partner. They're UK-based but now global society that works very hard around the world to provide humanitarian relief to children. They have many appeals in Yemen, in Syria, even the UK and the US. And this year we've managed to actually raise £1,000 for them, which was pretty cool considering that everything was online this year. Our actual volunteer teams consist of two separate fundraising teams, and each of these two teams basically ran their own programs throughout the year, came out with new ideas on how to get people to donate and get people interested in volunteering and giving back to society. So some examples of what they planned was like a fundraising radio show. So for an hour, they played songs about with the kids in the title, and they got people to donate. We had like a cool online concert with students from our school participating. We had games nights and stuff like that. This picture is a picture of one of our fundraising teams, so that was really nice. So I thought first I could talk a bit about the type of support we received from LSE, our school, which I think was very, very helpful for our volunteering initiatives. And I guess if anybody is looking to maybe design a volunteering program or kind of like institutional framework for volunteering, then what LSE has done may be quite helpful. So basically what LSE does is that they make sure we have this standardized kind of event form that any society wanting to hold any kind of event would have to fill up. And what this means for us is that we can be more fully prepared. We are forced to assess the risks of our activities before we plan them. So even things like in an online event, you would think, oh, there's not much to think about because you just go onto Zoom, maybe have a concert, but then you have to realize that, oh, what about online harassment? What if people were to say or do things in the chat? How would you handle that kind of situation? And so having LSE kind of make us sit down and talk about what we're going to do for each event and have a staff member approve that event was really, really helpful in terms of our organization and execution. We also have a lot of developmental meetings. So the school has specific staff that come and sit down with us and talk to us about what we want to do for the next year, what our plans, our ambitions, to kind of make sure that we're really anchored with the mission of volunteering and that we're headed in the right direction. And that really helped us think about how we want to organize a society. So as I mentioned, we had 2 fundraising teams that each got to plan their own events, and a lot of that inspiration of how to kind of have smaller teams working closely together on projects throughout the year. A lot of that came from the support we received from these like adult staff. Another really big point that I wanted to emphasize that we've kind of learned over the year is about, as I kind of mentioned earlier, having a good organizational structure as well as minimizing your risk. So as I said, we were very inspired to have 2 very small teams work on projects throughout the year. So rather than having maybe a number of random teams each work on one event, we've realized that having 2 fundraising teams that work together throughout the year with no changes was very helpful in keeping people interested, keeping people sustained in engagement. So what could happen was that maybe for their first event, we as their seniors would guide them a bit more in the planning and the execution, would be there to mentor them and guide them. And then they get to learn from their mistakes from the first event. And when they plan the second and third and fourth event, slowly but surely they get better at it, they get more confident, they become better volunteers, and of course they plan better organized events. So that was something that I really picked up over the year, that was a very interesting toolkit. And if anyone is looking to plan any kind of volunteering society in a university or in a high school, I think that that could be a very helpful tip to kind of sustain engagement. Another thing we learned is that with fundraising, which is of course a very popular way people like to give back to society, the thing is that there's a lot of risk involved sometimes, because you never know kind of how people respond. As much as people want to help you, as much as people want to give, after all, we are only university students, and for a number of factors, from maybe the price of a ticket to maybe the timing of the event, all of that can lead to people not giving as much as they otherwise would have. And so with our events, some events raised maybe £20, £30, while other events raised over £100. So it was very variable, even if the same amount of effort and work was put into each event. And so one big tip I picked up was to really try to minimize the cost related in your event, because after all, the goal of fundraising is to try to get as much money as possible to the organization we're helping. And we realized that previously in events where maybe we try to buy a product and sell that product for a higher price in the name of charity, maybe musical tickets or maybe food items to sell on campus, a lot of the time there was a big fear that we wouldn't be able to sell out, and then we'll end up making a loss or making a very, very small profit. So what we've really learned and internalized this year, with the fact that everything was online, that helped a lot, was to think of creative ideas that didn't necessarily require a lot of cost. They could require time and effort, which are things that I feel university students are better equipped to give anyways. And they turn that into something fun and something giving. So one of the ideas we had was to do an electronic card exchange. So it was actually for Valentine's Day this year. We had people, our friends, design very pretty cards, and then we opened up an order form and told people that if they donate £1 to this fundraising page, we will help them send a card with a personalized message by email to a friend, a family, a spouse, anything like that. And that actually helped us raise quite a bit of money at no cost whatsoever, except some creativity. So another thing is, do not be afraid to reach out, because as I said, I think many people are very willing to give back to society, more than you would think. And so what we learned is, actually even before things went online, just emailing local bakeries, local restaurants, asking, would you be willing to provide a discount? Would you maybe be willing to give us your leftover goods to sell the next day, all in the name of charity? And a lot of them were very willing to do so. Like one of our most successful fundraisers right before the global pandemic was with this bakery that is very famous for their cupcakes. And what they do is that every evening they donate all of their leftover cupcakes that they could not sell to any kind of society or group that's looking to raise funds for charity. And so they gave us maybe 100 cupcakes, and the next day we sold them all to our schoolmates in school, and all the proceeds got to go to save the children. So really just reach out, ask, don't be afraid. Maybe you'll get rejected, but a lot of the time you'll be surprised at how willing people are to help you out. Now I thought I could move on to the mentoring wing, which I'd say is definitely the most directly related to volunteering, but is too often forgotten in maybe a university society setting. Everyone's so big about raising funds and donating to charities, but we forget that on a more local basis, there's always more we can do to help out. And so what we had was we had two partner organizations, Reach Out UK and Into University. Both of these organizations have a number of centers, or they partner with a lot of schools around London. So it's very accessible for students from our school to visit these centers, visit these schools, and have a child or a teenager that they would mentor throughout the year. And so this year we had over 30 people that we trained as mentors, and we managed to help so many kids who are maybe aged between 11 and 18, who are from underprivileged backgrounds or maybe underperforming in school. We helped guide their character development, played games, played sports, became friends with them, helped guide their aspirations, and of course provided academic support as well. And some things I've learned from this is to really, as I mentioned, stay local. So mentoring schemes are a great way to get people directly involved. Like I said kind of earlier, I feel like university students, the one thing we can really give above money, which maybe we don't have much of, is our time and our attention. And mentoring is the perfect way to do that for people who maybe don't have the funds to donate on a regular basis. So just for anybody out there who's looking for something meaningful to do, but maybe are not able to donate or not able to maybe do a lot of activist work, just find a local organization they can volunteer with. For us, our focus has always been on children, and that's why I volunteer in mentoring. But you know, you can find an old folks home, a hospital, anything that lets you get involved, anything that lets you help other people. I think the speaker before me mentioned volunteering can be anything, you know, there are no limits. It can be a smile, it can be just talking to someone. And that's so, so true, because that's what we do as mentors. I mean, we're not really trained in anything professional, but all we can do is provide a listening ear, be a good role model, provide whatever advice or homework help we can. I think that in itself is so good and so meaningful already. So if you as a university society are looking for a way to give back, a way to volunteer, do remember mentoring, because as students, I feel like we are the closest in age to these children. And so we are the most able to connect with them, and we're the most able to provide relevant, up-to-date advice. So why not use all of this information we have while it's still relevant and while we're still young, to try to help other people reach the position you've reached. So we've also received a lot of support for mentoring. So maybe you can approach your school if you're looking to mentor and have them come on board, you know, give you that kind of legitimacy, that kind of institutional backing to tell organizations that, hey, we are not just a random group of students, you know, we all come from this school and our school is very supportive of what we're doing, and we would love to help you and help you maybe train kids. And actually one of the organizations we work with, they bring the children to the campus, the school campus, to let them look around, to let them sit in the lectures and that is a really great way of being a good role model and helping to nurture the aspirations of these children who maybe don't know anyone in university, but now do, and now get to see maybe what university can offer them in the future. Finally, I want to talk about our last wing, which is the advocacy wing. So this is a very new thing to us, but we thought, we've been raising funds. That's a great way to give back. We've been mentoring children. That's another great way to get directly involved. But what's something more we can do? What's something that can remind us of, the meaning of all that we're doing on a bigger scale? And we thought, why not train our students to be activists as well, to speak out about important issues, to get more people inspired and impassioned to want to give back, to want to serve. So this year we've managed to organize 8 events, actually engaging about 19 speakers. We've also had a number of social media threads on Instagram and on Facebook, teaching people about a number of issues. Since of course we're focused on children, we've covered issues such as child harassment and how online schooling has maybe made that worse. Talked about education inequality, both in the UK and abroad. Talked about humanitarian work. Talked about maybe careers in NGOs, which is kind of what we're all doing. And some advice I've come to learn from that is to really gather people around interest, because kind of the crux of what this advocacy wing was about was us thinking, we care so much about these issues, but how do we get other people to care about these issues such that they would feel willing to give their time and their money to people who need it more than themselves? And so what we did was that we made sure that our team was united around these common interests about, child protection, about human rights, particularly related to children. And that really helped us sustain engagement while carrying out our goals and carrying out events. Because, advocacy, activism, they're very broad words, and it's very easy to kind of go off tangent and not really kind of lose focus of what you're doing it for in the first place. So having this kind of center around children, everything about children and and having team members who are really passionate about speaking up for children, that really helped us to unite around common purpose and always remember what we were doing this for. And at the same time, through that, we're able to actively encourage our members to keep researching about topics that made sense to them, that make them feel angry or excited or passionate. And we let them organize themselves into project groups based on their interests. So some people got very interested in the free school meals issue in the UK, which is basically that the government wanted to withdraw these free meals that were being provided in schools when schools went into lockdown. And so we had 2 students that were very passionate about speaking up about that, about how unjust that was, having benefited from those free school meals themselves as children. And so they were able to produce some really beautiful content about it and get more people involved in giving their time to delivering meals or giving their money to charities that were trying to do that. Another thing is about reaching out. So a big part about advocacy and activism was trying to bring in experts to our school to speak more about the issues, because after all, we're just students and we don't know much. And so there was a lot of reaching out to academics, to politicians, whoever we could think of that may know a lot, to really come and share with us their experiences. And what we've learned from that is to really start early. If you want to hold, a big conference like this, you really need to start planning months in advance, such that you can kind of allocate time for when people take longer to reply. Always be ambitious, reach out to the biggest name you can think of in the field, but be prepared to start very, very early, because people are busy, people miss their emails, and coordination is just not easy at all. Another thing was, as I mentioned before, we had social media informational threads. I think social media has become such a powerful tool, especially in this kind of COVID-19 world. And what we did was that we posted very regularly on our Instagram, Facebook about different things. So if you see here, this is our thread about food poverty, like I mentioned earlier, about free school meals in the UK. And so having threads like this that were well researched and were getting good information out there about very serious topics, I feel like it really did our kind of part to maybe counter any misinformation and to also give people a clearer idea in a very quick and succinct manner on what is going on in the world and why maybe they should care about it as students. Another like little pro tip is that we use this site called Canva a lot for all of our designs, and that's how we got them to look so pretty. I didn't do these myself, of course, I'm not so talented, but we had very, very good members who were able to use such online platforms to design powerful and influential and engaging infographics for the student population. I've actually pretty much come to the end of my presentation, and I just want to leave everyone with a couple of key reflections that I've had from the year. First is to really have a good team of people. I don't mean people who are the most competent or the most experienced, but people who have the heart to serve. I believe everybody has the heart to serve. It's just whether they are aware of it and whether they are in the right space to do it. But when someone has the heart to serve, I feel like everything else comes as second nature. The commitment is there, the skills are there, and the engagement is there when people have a heart for service. Another thing is to really think big, be ambitious, invite celebrities to your talks, think of giant workshops and reach out to the biggest person possible to help you fundraise. Like one of our coolest events this year was having this chef who's very famous on YouTube come and do a free cook along workshop session with us to raise funds. I never thought he would reply, but I sent an email and he was so willing to come aboard and help us. So really just think big, let your mind roam free, and you'll be surprised the results you get, but also be very creative in the way you think about it. Don't just think about buying something and selling it, which has a lot of cost risk involved, but think more about how you can maybe use the goodwill of other people, use people's influence and stuff like that to give you more clout and to help you raise more funds. Another thing would be to keep executing initiatives throughout the year, especially if you are in a university society, because that's what helps keep people engaged. It helps keep the student population aware of what you're doing and who you are. And when they kind of know who you are, they will donate to you. And one thing that our partner from Save the Children told me that really stuck with me was, it doesn't matter how much money you raise in this particular event, because what happens is that you tell people you're raising money for Save the Children, and you keep telling them about Save the Children and how amazing Save the Children is. And maybe one day when they're older and they have more money to give, maybe an inheritance or thinking of leaving all their money to some charity, they'll think back and remember your passion for this charity, Save the Children, and they will feel inclined to give to that charity in the future. So never think that the work you're doing is small. Never think that getting £30 of donation is a small thing, because what you're doing really is getting people interested and getting people more and more willing to give, more and more willing to share their wealth with others who need it more than them. And the last thing is something I've tried to drill during this presentation, but is to really reach out to other people, reach out to experts, reach out to big celebrities. Don't be afraid of rejection, but really reach out with an honest heart, because you'll be surprised at the kindness of other people. And I think very importantly as a university society is to remember that we are not the experts. I'm sharing here today, but I'm really just sharing things I've learned from other people and mentors who have guided me throughout the year. And these mentors include all of the charity organizations I mentioned and the staff there who've been working for years and years and years, who have so much to teach about how to conduct volunteering correctly and how to run events smoothly. And for advocacy, we don't know everything, we're still learning. So reach out to your professors, reach out to the school, reach out to anybody you can think of who knows more than you, and you'll be so surprised at how willing they are to teach you. And of course, finally, reach out to your school administration, because I think they'd be so ecstatic to know that their students are wanting to do something good with their time. And I'm sure that they'd be more than willing to provide you with all the support that they can. So I think that brings me to the end of my presentation. As I said, think big, reach out to others, and yeah, just have the heart to serve. I think that will take you so far. So I'll stop sharing now, but thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much, dear Emily. Such a lovely presentation. And actually, it's related to our next lecture with Dr. Evran, because now I guess Dr. Evran is connecting. He's facing some issues, like technical issues. But yeah, the next lecture by Dr. Evran is actually about sustainable development goals. And the way you described, like thinking big, but at the same time, not giving up on the small details and trying to do whatever we can and going to the local bakery and all of these stuffs are pretty much related to, sustainability. So I believe it will be a great connection for the next lecture. Thank you very, very much, dear Emily. It was such a lovely presentation. And let's see whether Dr. Evran is here with us. He is here on the Zoom, but
hi everyone. I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, doctor, we can hear you. You're audible.
Great. I'm just facing some serious internet issues because we just came to our summer place, and unfortunately I was under the assumption that the internet would be working, but unfortunately it's not working. So I'm using my 4G right now. I will do my very best to ensure that there is a smooth presentation. But if you just give me 1 second to this on the project, and hopefully through my sound, I will try to make the presentation as best as I can.
Sure,
can you hear me now?
Yes, we can hear you, and also I can share the presentation if you would like.
I have my presentation, but unfortunately, I cannot even open my cam because of the internet problem. So, and I'm on the phone, so I cannot open my presentation, unfortunately.
I can share something if you wish to. But hopefully we can wait for a couple of minutes. Generally for you, the doctor, to prepare.
No, I mean, to be honest with you, my presentation is on Prezi, and it is going to be very difficult to share because it's on Prezi, and I don't know how to share on Prezi. So, I mean, if there's a possibility to reschedule this presentation, we can do it. Otherwise, I can just share our experience based on my presentation. I will try to visualize it as much as I can with my words.
Maybe we can reschedule if we will talk. Let's give 2 minutes for a break, maybe, dear audience, and just maybe we can bring some sessions, like one of the initiatives, and then have your lecture, doctor.
Sure.
Okay, so 2 minutes, dear audience, and we're coming back hopefully to tell you whether we're gonna have Dr. Evran's lecture or one of the initiatives.
Hello. Hello.
Okay, so if Dr. Evran is hearing us, maybe Dr. Evran can, generally tell us about what was on the PowerPoint, and we can use the PowerPoint in the next session with the Q&A. But now we can have Dr. Evran, if he can, and I think we were hearing him. We're hearing you, Doctor. You were audible, and I believe we can still hear you.
Yes, dear sister, I don't use PowerPoint. I use Prezi, so that is why it's hard. I cannot even reach my Prezi right now because I cannot open my computer. That's the problem. But anyways, I will just do my very best to explain how we have been trying to like um, foster volunteering at the university level, especially around the topic of sustainable development goals. And if I had a chance to show my presentation, my first slide, the first section of the presentation was actually the introduction to Maker Meclis. So Maker Meclis platform is the one like 3 years ago we have established, and it is one of the initiatives, I believe, very unique initiatives in the world that concerns with the maker movement. So in the sense that in today's world, the students need to understand that theoretical or abstract knowledge is not enough to foster or to apply what they learn in classroom environment. So there is also a very serious and very critical necessity to balance theoretical and abstract learning with applications, or in other words, experiential learning. So makerspace movement has commenced mostly in the West, mostly in the US actually, where different universities, libraries created these spaces where people were equipped with tools and either hardware or software. So they get together and they try to solve problems. So it is entrepreneurial, it is innovative, and also it can be used for sustainability purposes. And so what Maker Meclis tried to do was, instead of any space, any mekan, we wanted to utilize the concept of Meclis, which is a very the Gulf Arabic concept, which is, by the way, part of UNESCO's intellectual heritages that is under protection. It's so Meclis is a place, a physical space where most families, most Arabs actually hold in their houses or part of their house, or maybe slightly detached from their house, a place where everybody's on the ground and talking and deliberating and discussing world affairs, many other problems they face, decisions, It's a place for deliberation. It's a place for civic engagement. So we brought together Maker and Mejlis together. So Maker Mejlis. So it's not any space, but it's a space that is culturally and locally significant. So having said this, so this is the genesis of the Maker Mejlis. And if anyone is interested, even now, if you want to Google Maker Mejlis, you're going to see Hamad bin Khalifa University's website. This is number one. Number two, if you go to Instagram and if you type Maker Mejlis, we have a really fantastic account that myself and our colleagues are really executing. And also we have a YouTube account where we upload any single event that we do under Maker Mejlis. So if I were to give you an example, just less than a month ago, we were asked to write a paper for the WISE initiative, which is the World Innovation Summit for Education, which is a member of Qatar Foundation. They have a global initiative called Living Labs. So they asked us to write a piece about Maker Mejlis. And I just want to reiterate the first part of that article, because I believe that it really captures the essence of the Maker Mejlis. So in that part, basically, I wish I had the chance to share it as well. Maybe after this session, I will share that article so things might make more sense. So the article started with this example of how would you feel if you go out of your classroom and just prepare your bag and put everything in your bag and just get prepared to leave the premise of the university. You step out and right in front of your university, you just see a refugee camp. What would you do? What would you think? So this is literally what we did in under Maker Mejlis in our very, very first event just less than 2 years ago. So we had an agreement with Qatar Red Crescent, and we are extremely grateful to their support. So they kindly built almost realistic refugee camp outside of our campus with the ambulance, with the tents, and the health facilities, and and this was outside of our building. So in 4 days, we hosted more than 4,000 students, and our intention was to see how would they feel if they see a refugee camp right outside of the building of a university. So this was more like getting this sensitivity towards the problems that refugees face. So because volunteering, if you want to model volunteering, people need to understand, students need to understand what are the real suffrage on the ground. And building empathy is one of the most, I believe, important virtues of moving forward. It's a form of passion. It's the kind of the first so the stimuli to the students that they saw, and basically through the facilitation of the Qatar Red Crescent, students got to understand what does it take to become a refugee and how to register in a refugee camp. Even that process has different layers. So they got to understand the problems that refugees face in the first stage. So it was quite successful. So what we did at the end was, after they passed through the sample, almost realistic refugee camp that Qatar Red Crescent built for us, inside of our building, we produced a space where one part actually was about organizing a mechathon. So it was pretty much like a competition where we provided students 3D printers, laser cutters, some softwares, and etc. So we asked them, identify a problem that you face outside of the class, outside of the class, which is the refugee camp, and then afterwards try to solve that problem by grouping with your friends, try to recruit more students. So most of the visitors actually, naturally, they become volunteers. So they try to volunteer for a lot of different activities that we built in that space. For instance, in a different space, another organization simultaneously, an organization called EdClut, led by their Mrs. Nawal Hafiz. She actually provides education for educational activities for students with special needs. So imagine that actually, like how that connects with the suffrage that's really happening on the ground, all in the same place. So, and in a different corner, we were training students about some coding, for instance. So one of the biggest problems in a typical refugee camp is darkness. This is actually really scientifically proven that like there are a lot of surveys asking for refugees, what's your biggest problem? There's a kind of tendency to say that it's the darkness that really affects the refugees. So we were actually teaching the students how to create some user-friendly, like feasible, like solutions to create solar power for refugee camps, or mobile detectors to find electricity resources, and so many other things. So again, we wanted the students not just actually observe a problem, but find a group, recruit other volunteers, create your own team, and tackle one of the problems that is out there. For instance, on a different corner, we had the support of Shared Studios, which is part of Qatar Foundation. What they do is in a shared studio, it's like an inflated bubble. You go in, and every day they make some connection to the refugee camp in Greece, Lesbos. And the second day we had a connection to Gaza. Another day we had a connection to Addis Ababa. And another day we had a connection to Dhaka. So this way, students, individuals coming into the building, the Maker Majlis, they were able to connect with other real, actually, on the ground experiences in different parts of the world. And I really had very nice pictures of and videos of how this was working. Of course, modeling a volunteering initiative, it takes a lot of effort. In Maker Majlis, we really relied on the support of collaborating organizations, including Qatar Charity, United Nations Volunteers, United Nations Development Program, many other colleagues, especially Riyadh Innovation in Lebanon, many local and international partners. We worked together to make it possible. But overall, modeling this initiative and bringing it to life, I believe it was made possible because we were really trying to capture the value element, the ethical and the moral elements that are critical in instinct tourism. So without actually reaching the people's hearts, without helping them to empathize, it is very difficult to attract volunteers and to garner them around a cause. So Maker Majlis has been trying to establish this connection through the utilization, through the employment of the concept of faith. How faith, whether it's a Muslim faith or Christian faith or Buddhist faith or Judaist faith or faith, it doesn't really matter. Faith is critical in, belief is critical in instigating action and building empathy. So this is actually the kind of the space that we wanted to create, faith-based development, and how volunteerism can benefit from the value. Sorry, there's a background noise.
Yes, there is. I hope the host can mute all the participants other than the speaker. Please, can you please mute yourselves as participants, and the host can take care of that.
If there's a question, I'm more than happy to support. If there's a question, I'm more than happy to answer. Or if I did something wrong, because I'm really in a very difficult situation right now. But in a nutshell, this was maybe without further ado, I can just summarize my presentation by saying that modeling university initiatives around volunteerism or around volunteer work it requires not just the resources, like financial.
لو في ما لقيت احد اتصل عليك تجيني قبل المغرب زين يلا كمل حوارنا.
Please go ahead. Please go ahead.
Dr. Evran, yes, please go ahead. It's just some noise background.
Yeah, I don't know. Is there a glitch or something? Because I'm hearing someone speaking in Arabic. So, yes, I was just saying that these experiences, first of all, one intention is to help other experiences, other scholars, other university administrations. They should be able to find something that resonates to them. So that was also one of the initiatives of Maker Majlis. So without large financial or monetary resources, just focusing on a simple concept.
قلنا بروح امشي قلنا ما نروح نمشي لنا قلت لا والله توبه بعد عمتي وبعد
I think
عمتي لا
host
والله
has to make something because this voice is interfering. I think.
انا عزيز اللي كان
Please host.
عفواً أستاذة صالحة ممكن تسكري المايك and now I think we'll have I guess we're running already out of time. So Dr. Evran, I will ask about whether you want to resume now or we can make in another Q&A session we can resume like 3 questions. It's up to you, doctor, and we're so sorry. The host is away, I believe, and he's not responding to all requests.
I can take questions if anybody wants to ask a question.
I believe there are questions, but in another session, so we'll have a special session.
I'm here.
Doctor, we'll have a Q&A session with the other speakers as well, so maybe we can just like have 2 minutes to the other lecture, the Arabic lecture, and then we will have a Q&A session hopefully on both channels.
Okay, thank you.
We're so sorry about the host not responding and not muting the participants. He's apparently away. So we'll take 2 minutes. Sorry about everything that happened, and we're going to the lecture to be lectured by Dr. Rawan, and then we're going to come back hopefully with a session with the speakers.
البيت
Hello, everyone. Sorry for the interruption, for the inconvenience. Now everyone is muted. Hiba, you can carry on. Thank you very much.
Can you make me a co-host, please?
Sure, okay.
Now the next lecture on the other channel, on the other Arabic channel. Now Safat will do the introduction of Dr. Rawan, and we will resume there hopefully.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are back to you, and I would like to welcome you again. Of course, volunteering is a life and happiness for those who have touched the life of others and have helped them all with passion. Ladies and gentlemen, we now move to a new leader, a youth unit leader from Kuwait, to show us this important initiative of the strategy of volunteering in Kuwait. Dr. Ms. Rawan Fawzan from Kuwait. Ms. Rawan, the floor is yours. Mr. Rawan, are you with us? Mr. Rawan, we cannot hear you. The sound is on mute, it seems. Maybe your microphone is on, but there is no sound. We cannot hear it. Unfortunately, there is no sound, Ms. Rawan. We cannot, your microphone is on, is not mute, but we don't hear you. What about now? Yes, now is better. Okay. You can share your screen as well. Peace be upon you. Thank you very much. Rawan Fozan from Kuwait. As Ms. Rawan has said, we would like to talk about our experience with the national strategy of volunteering and how it is overlapping with volunteering with the youth specifically. I would share the screen now with you. Is it clear? Yes. For us who have done this national strategy is the team of Baraha for volunteering. I'm part of this. Baraha is an initiative is under the Center for Volunteering. We provide qualitative type of services for empowering youth and we started in 2018. And our efforts is under the cooperation of the International Youth Center, and it's working within the strategy of a new Kuwait, and we want to apply the SDGs. Since we started our work, we have been keen that most of the activities, all the service we provide shall be within the cultural framework, and we always take into consideration the new strategies pillars of Kuwait, and the SDGs goals. We have started with the national strategies for volunteering in December 2019, and this was an initiative of volunteers and the General Authority for Youth. However, the one who implemented is Baraha team. We are a group of Kuwaiti youth. We had consultants, doctors, professors who have been specialized in this. We wanted to have a participatory strategy in Kuwait. We had so many strategies in the past. However, this is the first time we have a participatory strategy, which was done with all the sides concerned. We wanted this to go in this direction because we want to have an ownership of the stakeholders of the strategy. We didn't just cover the side and the stakeholders, but also the teams, because we want to listen to the teams, their needs, to also be able to satisfy their needs within this framework. The vision of the strategy is the sustainable pioneering in this volunteer work. We started with the analysis of the situation. We believe that if you want to come up with a new strategy, if you want to go to the future, from the present to the future, you need to understand the current situation with all the details, with all transparency. Kuwait, to be honest, is one of the countries which has a lot of initiatives in volunteering sector, but we don't have any screening of those. We don't have data. We don't have the needs analyzed first. This was weak. And second, we didn't have any a lot of cooperation amongst the teams. This was obvious in Corona time. There were some teams which were working, but their efforts were scattered. So we started all the teams in Kuwait, whether in the private sector or the public sector or individual teams, what are they providing, in which framework, and how can we measure if the things implemented are volunteer work or a specialized volunteering. Then we went to the analysis of the history of the volunteering over 300 years. We came up with the main three stages. We were still talked about sustainability since 60s and 20s. It started with the first wall of Kuwait, which was built. All the Kuwaitis who were in this area, they've done this by volunteering. They have built the fence around, or the wall around Kuwait. And then since the 50s to the 90s, there was the fund, the Kuwaiti Fund for Development in 1961. And we need to mention that this fund was established even before Kuwait was independent fully. After that, there was the occupation in 1991, and in all volunteering teams have occurred this, and since 1991 till 2020, we had a third stage where we opened the center of the volunteering work, and we had the strategy which was issued into 2019. It was the first on the level of the Gulf. The most important item in this approach is international experience. We have looked at 50 experience from around the world, and we were always asked, we're asked about this. Why are you looking at what is happening around the world? Why aren't you looking at what is suitable for your context as Kuwait? For us, we wanted to see the rest of the world because those are big windows which will make us understand new things. After we study the international communities concepts, of course, we will apply only what is suitable for Kuwait, because in volunteering, the situation in Kuwait is unique. However, we need to learn from the other experiences, the challenges that come through, so that we can benefit from those and challenge them. The first challenge was the concepts. The concept of volunteering is a vast concept, and each side in Kuwait had a different understanding of it. So we could come up with this concept, which is suitable for all the sides. That volunteering is an interactive action where you provide time, effort, money to solve a problem and increase productivity, or to achieve a potential for the society without return. You might have a reward. However, if you are doing the volunteer work, you should not be expecting to have money in return. This was the first challenge. The second challenge, we wanted to look at the analysis of the maturing steps of volunteering, and how can we have a framework for those so that we can build upon the old concepts. We analyze the behavior of volunteering. The behavior of volunteering is what you see in seasonal work, like iftar saim, the camps, resorts, this kind of emergency reactions, or when you help a cat even in the street. All those types of behaviors are good behaviors. They are the trigger of volunteering. However, you cannot build on this and analyze or measure this, because usually it's done spontaneously without studying it, and usually it's done individually speaking. And then we moved after that to the idea of the action, volunteer action. It's when you do this through planning to develop your work and to analyze what you want. Most of the time, the action of volunteering has a plan. You most of the time have a team. You don't have an individual here. And then we move to the volunteering work in general, which is the cumulative project within a specific team or organization, whether it's a governmental organization or private sector, or the charities and the civil society organizations. To be honest, volunteering is the work which is we can build on and reach sustainability with. This is the third stage, and that's why we are keen upon this. We had 4 approaches to the strategy, which are the first, the stages, the segments of age. In our strategy, we believe that the volunteering is right for all, for the children, for the adolescent, for the youth, for the elderly. So it's for all the age groups. All the age groups have the right to volunteering. Actually, we need to come up with design specific for each of those age groups so that they can participate in the society. And as an organization, I need to guarantee this right. And then the transformation during the ages. How can volunteering help them in this transformation from a child to adolescent, for example? How can I help them? How can I also use this? That positive development is we need to concentrate here on the positive practices and to neglect the negative ones. The added value is that the volunteer is an value in themselves, and volunteering makes a difference in return for the country. And this is what we could prove through our national strategy, which yes, we could see that the return of the government had increased, and we have relieved the burden over the government's shoulders. We see that volunteering brings more benefits for the society, according to the UN as well. Now we have over 7,700 volunteers in 130 countries, and this is in one of the activities. Of course, they are increasing in numbers. While we are studying the international community's experience, we would try to see what are the challenges that youth face, whether the Kuwaitis or in the Arab world, and how can the other countries have been trying to solve this. They have come through the same challenges, and we wanted to see how they've solved this. The first challenge was there is no space for youth. And a lot of youth say we suffer. We don't have specific youth spaces or centers or places where we go to as volunteers, where we can finish our work. So what did Australia do? As a country, they have provided funding for the youth from the government, and they developed this national program of Youth Without Borders. They have 20 seats for the ambassadors of Australia to develop them, and they chosen people between 18 to 20 in coordination with the ministry outside of external affairs, or foreign affairs. They send them to other countries for 6 months, and they give them a reward for that, so that they volunteer there. Between 18 to 20, the people transform and the people change. This is an important stage of the life of people. They have provided seats as well for people who are from distances and from poor backgrounds. Turkey has another strategy. Their last strategy have concentrated on the youth, how they can participate, how they can be integrated. They have divided this between the government and the private sector. So the government send them in scholarships to the private sector so that they can cover all the needs of the youth. France has a number of agreements with international organizations under the European Union to encourage the youth to work in the camps. And they have banned that this governmental sector shall encourage the youth to be part of the volunteering. France had said this clearly, that they are keen upon those programs because they want to have better youth outside France, so that there is more professional volunteering, and this would show unity. As I said, professional volunteering. It's just like work, professional volunteering. So professional volunteering is what you can build upon and use later. Of course, we had also looked at 50 countries. Of course, I would not talk about all the experiences, but I'll give you an overview of those 3 countries. Australia, for example, when we studied the strategy of Australia, they had a strategy of 2011 till 21, and in 2007 they have evaluated that the value of the volunteering cost 14.6 billion Australian dollar in just 1 year when they measured the efforts. And this shows that there is alleviation of burden over the country. And since 2011, Australia was thinking about developing volunteering, electronically speaking, virtual volunteering. And they started to have competition conducted and activities to promote for being volunteers over the virtual platforms. And this was even before the iPhone. They had this vision, they had this foreseeing of the future. They've seen that at one point we will need this alternative. Apologies for cutting you. The time is up. If you can be short. Just quickly, I would move now to Ireland. I will not talk about Australia. Irish were similar to us. This is why I concentrated on them, because in Ireland, or who have started with a strategy where volunteers themselves, and they are a group of youth who volunteered to do that. So when the institution started, it was a small one, but now the Volunteers of Ireland is one institution which has one unified platform, which has all the teams or the opportunities for volunteering, and which is overlapping with the private and the private and public sector and the civil society. So all the data is in the one place. They have a center for studies of volunteering, and whoever wants to volunteer can go to this organization, although it's a volunteering organization. It's not governmental. Just quickly, the strategy needs to be overlapping with the universities. It's important to talk about the usefulness of volunteering amongst those people of the university, and to come up with programs which help them. So after they graduate, they need to go to employment. Now, the university needs to design a program which will cooperate with the private sector or the public sector to provide this volunteering opportunity in their specialty, so that after they are already so that after they graduate, they already can go to the private sector, because they have been already trained. And they shall establish platforms for competition, which will come up with solutions. They themselves can come up with solutions and alternatives. Also, we need to link volunteering to the projects at the university. How can for example, there are studies done at the universities and research, and this is requested by the students. So this shall be linked to volunteering, having a culture of volunteering as well, having a platform of all those and their benefits, and to unify this on the level of the university and on the level of the region. This can be an initiative done by the university. At the end, I leave you with those concepts. It's very important that the programs we develop, we cooperate and coordinate, shall be user-centric programs. I need to understand this targeted group, and I need to create a persona and to come up with useful programs for them. I need to understand their needs and the indicators of success. Through this, I can come up with the creation of a program which is helpful. Also, design thinking. How can we understand the chances they need? We need to sit with the students and the nudge, which is nudging them. How can we nudge them so that we can change the behaviors of people, and we can help or motivate students to volunteer in a creative manner without them feeling that we are nudging them? Those are very important. The idea of creativity is important in itself. We need to come up with a hub for creativity, for example. Thank you very much, everyone. And sorry if I was long in the presentation. If you have any questions, the floor is yours before we move to the next speaker. Thank you very much, Rowan Fozan, for this important presentation. Thank you. Thank you for hosting me, and hopefully everything is going well with you. Now we move, ladies and gentlemen, to the new initiative of the distinguished initiatives, which is provided by from Jordan, Miss Yasmin Al-Asad, the founder and the CEO of Take a Chance. She's a researcher in the Middle East Studies Center, and she has 15 years experience in research and volunteering. Miss Yasmin. Miss Yasmin, can you hear us? It seems that she's trying to connect still. Miss Yasmin, you are muted. You need to unmute yourself. We can't hear you. You have a problem, it seems. Maybe the mic itself. We can't hear you. We cannot still hear you. Can you try from another computer or whatever?
No voice, we can't hear you. Okay, can we move on to the next initiative, Mr. Ashraf? Mr. Ashraf, are you available? Yes, just a second. I think Hiba will present Mr. Ashraf. Mr. Ashraf, we will present Mr. Ashraf now while Ms. Yasmin can fix the technical problem. Now we have Mr. Ashraf for the second initiative. He's going to talk to us from Gaza, the beloved city, under the title of the volunteering campaign to test COVID-19 in Gaza Strip. Mr. Ashraf, the floor is yours. Thank you very much. By the name of Allah, the most graceful and the most merciful, and peace be on Prophet Muhammad and his companions. I'd like to salute you all, our audiences from Gaza, from the Islamic University, the volunteer of universities, and volunteering of students in universities. I was happy to listen to my colleagues and the experts here. And since listening to and participating in this conference yesterday and today added much to me concerning volunteering. Just quickly, I'd like to say that from the beginning, we set off the volunteering department. We had a work plan that opens many doors to mitigate students and volunteering. So we started what we call it shuffle visits, where we visited some union syndicates, municipalities, ministries, and other things. And we agreed on the mechanism of communication, and of course on the level of the on the international level, we had some accords and the protocols. And so we started to send hundreds or even thousands of students every term to these institutions. For example, like the Ministry of Higher Education. A large number of students go to it to volunteer in schools in Gaza. And on the level of civil society, there is what we call it Quran Kareem and Sunnah institution. We send thousands of students to this institution every year, where they are taught how to recite Quran and to learn Hadith. And you can take them as examples. There are many institutions who encourage people to volunteer, but on the level of the campaign of volunteering, our recent campaign was completely different. It was under the title of the National Campaign of Testing COVID-19 in Gaza Strip, for people in Gaza Strip. This campaign was in partnership with ministries of health ministry and in cooperation with Palestinian universities. As for the problem of this campaign, of course, it was under the during the time of the spread of COVID-19, and because of the rare available information so there was no enough information for decisions to be made to deal with the pandemic. So there, we had what we call it about the group ammunition. As for the objectives of the campaign, we wanted to know about the ammunition of people, and we wanted to participate in giving information and accurate percentages to institutions who make decisions. And we wanted to enhance the culture of self-confidence at people in society. And on the level of students, we wanted to provide them with a volunteering environment so they can follow their tasks in the future. About the initiative under the objectives I just mentioned, we target according to the study that we conducted, we targeted about 2 million people. 10,000 were targeted in Gaza Strip, and more than them 4,000 of them as us as university, we were asked to test them and to take the results and to provide the needed authorities with these results. We got more than 100 volunteers involved in this, and they were distributed into 11 neighborhoods in Gaza, which is one of the largest cities in Gaza. As for us, we intervened because we wanted to implement this campaign as it was planned to. So our first step, or the most important step, it was the training. We started to have to conduct a training about how to test people, and after that they were trained on how to deal with people theoretically and practically. For example, we had acting scenes where trainees were acting of how they can deal with people through while visiting them for the tests. After that, we distributed the volunteering teams in different neighborhoods, according to a distinguished plan, so they in a way that we can prevent making mistakes, because this is everything was related to the plan, was detailed in items. There was a code. This code would prevent making any mistake, and it indicates the age groups from 0 to 1, and even the exhibitions. For example, it was coded by number 3, and the number of targeted people or the needed people to be interviewed, and the sample. All of these were coded by numbers. These codes were registered in the paper surveys till it was transcribed later electronically. The third step was that we launched the campaign in the field, but before going to the field, we started to test employees inside the university from different sectors, whether they are administrative employees or even academic people. So you can see here in the picture that we started to test the head of the university, Dr. Nasser Farhat, and his assistant, and we were supported by the head of the university to complete this campaign. And the fourth step, before setting off the team and sending them to the field, we needed a formal, let's say, coverage that should be official campaign. So we got a certificate or approval signed by the health ministry. The team used to have this approval and authorization and show it to people when they want to address them. And after that, we started to introduce our team. When we meet a family or a household, we tell them about the goals of this visit, and we assure them that this test is for their own sake. The next step was from the time the team goes to the household, so the volunteer should prepare the people for the test before conducting the test. I mean, psychologically prepare them. Then he starts testing them and taking a blood sample from the head of the tip of the finger, and of course he was special slides were used in this way to know the ammunition of every person according to the results of these tests. The volunteer would provide advice to those people and their need to get vaccination against COVID-19 and related issues. The next step was that volunteers during the test and after the test had to fill in a survey. This survey was important for scientific study, and in this survey the interviewee was asked some questions and the answers were filled in. Of course, this would happen after the results of the test. And at the end, they would inform the person about the result, and the visit was concluded by thanking people. The next step, it was actually, we know that we exerted great efforts, so we know that the team after the visit used to transcribe the survey and to take out the information and the data, not only their visits, but about 10,000 surveys, interviews conducted in different neighborhoods from all the volunteers and the university. So in this way, we can get the final results easily and smoothly. As for the results, of course, the intervention and the quick intervention by the volunteering team participated in giving accurate and important information about the results to deal with the pandemic, and the campaign showed that people who have ammunition against COVID-19, they were no more than 35% of people, and this should be considered by the health sector and should be taken into consideration in the campaign of vaccinating people. As for the results related to the volunteering team, of course, we thank God for granting us success as people supervising this campaign. This is because of God's support and because of the support of related parties. And on the level of volunteering, actually the support we got, it was really astonishing, because they despite of the illness, despite of the pandemic spread, this road, though, they got the cost of the work and the effort, the time. This burden was taken by those students, and this stresses the fact that they have this responsibility of volunteering. And of course they showed their spirit of suggesting initiatives, and they showed that they are ready to participate in the upcoming campaigns. And this stresses the idea that they are always ready to participate and to volunteer, not only for only 60 volunteering hours as it was taught, but no, they are always ready to participate in new campaigns. These are some testimonies that we have it, like short clips, and of course we are proud of these students who participated in this. Here is the student Afnan Inaya. Can we please play this clip? Can we play this video of student Afnan Inaya? Please, Mr. Ashraf, go ahead. It is available within the presentation, the PowerPoint presentation, and it works. The video works here. So if we can play it, I hope so. And in the next slide, there is another testimony of the medical student Bara, who was stressing the importance of this campaign and how he benefited from it as a medical student, because he was in contact directly and tangible contact with society and people there, and he evaluated the importance of their exerted efforts, and he appreciated the risk they took because they were working under the pandemic. So he was willing to sacrifice along with his colleagues. I wish that we could play these videos that we are really proud of. And these testimonies, actually, I had a first-hand experience with them because I was supervising this team. And they gave me the feeling that the exerted efforts were not in vain, because they worked according to the plan and they achieved the targets. So we did what we had to do, and we should actually give the credit for those who really implemented the plan. So I really like to thank them because they were there, and I'd like to thank them and to thank their families, and even by the presence of the head of the university, and even a presenter of the university, and everybody felt happy at that event when we met with the volunteering team and thanked them for their campaign. What's next? Despite of the pain that Gaza's living, and everyone knows the exceptional situation Gaza lives, but our people have the willingness and the desire, a very strong desire. This makes us enhance the importance of volunteering teams, starting from universities and through partnership with official institutions and civil society organizations. For example, after the last war that we've witnessed and the world witnessed it with us in Gaza Strip, we launched a campaign under the title بسواعدنا نبنيها. We build it by our arms. we will build it, we will reconstruct it, and there would be different and more campaigns. We would always work voluntarily to sharpen the skills of university students in a way that they can serve their society and their country, even during the university stage and even after graduation. So if I'd like to thank someone, I would thank our colleagues in Bevol, a platform for volunteering. This great platform and their innovative team. And I'd like to thank my colleague and the engineer Bashar for his efforts and for contacting us. And I'd like to thank the technical team. And I'd like to thank the organizers of the conference. And the experts, and of course I'm not going to forget to thank my university and the head of my university and the head of the student affairs department for helping us in solving some problems and supporting volunteering activities. And allow me to finalize my word by giving advice to all students volunteering in universities and who's looking for success and for being distinguished. I say you have to study, you have to have ethics, you have to be religious. These are the three main points. I think they are the most important thing. If you take these 3 points into consideration, you would be pioneers and successful, because if you have science, that means you can create something extraordinary, and religion can open every door, and high ethics is the right thing for youth because it protects them from any harm and from any enemy, while the other challenges and the problems, science, religion, and ethics are the answer to them. Thank you very much, and peace be upon you all. Thank you to those who are leaving comments. Thank you, Mr. Ashraf, for all your efforts. Yeah, as you mentioned, despite the hard situation in Gaza, you are at the head of the volunteering initiatives, and we are sorry that we couldn't play the video. We will try to play it later, inshallah. Now back to Ms. Yasmin Asad. Is the technical problem solved? Can you hear me? Yes. Yes, I can hear you clearly. Okay. Ms. Yasmin, forgive me. I spoke in your turn. No, not at all. Thank you for presenting your initiative. It's a great initiative. Thank you. Safa, shall I start? Yeah, you can start, but I think I'm sharing my own screen. No, I think that you can share your screen. Yes, please, the floor is yours. Thank you very much. In the beginning, I'd like to thank Bevol administration and the team of Bevol for all the efforts exerted. And whenever I listen to someone, for example, I want to stop the people, but for me, when I'm talking about volunteering, I can never stop. So I'll try to speak fast, and I hope that I will stick to my allocated time. Ms. Yasmin, we can't hear you. So please, when you share your screen, you have to select share with voice. because now we can't hear you. Just a second. The video is playing, talking uh, about the children getting sadaqah and can't give. So we've met some students who refused to take their meals despite the fact that they were fasting, because they thought that this would be humiliating them if they accept to take any help. We know that this is a seasonal thing, because orphans learn things from certain seasons, and this would affect their personality. Of course, the problem of social type would affect the type the orphan think. Actually, after these notes, actually our concentration was on one idea, is to empower those children by having regular programs, is to enhance the confidence of these children and to give them a strong belief in themselves. So we targeted people from 11 years old and up till we reach these orphans into a theory, physical, psychological, and social balance. I'd like to stress an idea that we give grants to orphans, that it's not grants. It's not sadaqah. It is a grant. That's why they just gave us their pictures. We separated the work into 3 stages: ready, steady, and go. In this way, we give the orphan workshop. This workshop can help orphans learn more about themselves and to have brain maps and like themselves and build their goals and to determine their life path and to know how to market themselves, in addition to other skills that can make them ready for the next phase of their life. And of course, in this phase, we would have a graduation project where we put children into groups where they content and having some projects. After that, they talk about their projects and the implementation of their project. Later, they talk about this and we decide on the successful project. Study, this is about making stars. Here we know that the children know about their ideas, about what they want and where to want to go. So study, where children go into a program which is about making stars. And this program, we follow up with the children where they, for example, can be real stars. This program, I can only say about it that it is about stars. Officially, children here are registered in specialized or official academies, and they were followed up academically in these institutions. Actually, the children are separated into 5 classes, robotic and other classes. Let's talk about the goals of these groups in this way, because we sharpen the skills of children where they can get information, whether about mathematics or about other things, so they can get more scores that added to their scores in school, which enhance their chance to go to the university after the high school. After that, we go to go, which is out of the box. After we worked on the identity of the child and after we empowered them and sharpened their skills to be stars, then we move to the 3rd phase, which is to make people ready to go to the university through getting grantships that can support children and by linking them to other institutions where they can make use of their experience, so they can get even simple income through their study at the university. So after ready, steady, go, in this way we empower people when they were 11 years old and till they are 22 years old. In this way, they are people who are willing and able to help and work in society. Through 5 years, we were responsible for improving the life of 100 orphans. We worked with them sustainably, and this means that we have sustainable results. The best result that we are proud of is to improve the personalities of these children and improve their life skills. Of course, a whole day won't be enough for me to talk about the results of this campaign, but I like to talk about the changes that happened because the change was real and deep. In our first workshop, we asked people about their goal of life. One child said that I like mango, or the other child didn't said that I don't know the meaning of a dream or a goal. This child later with us knew their dream and knew her goal in life. Another child late we discovered that he has a problem with concentration. Actually, I was sad because he's not going to benefit from our program like his other colleagues. But actually, at the end, he cried and he said that I love you very much. When I asked him why, he said because you changed my life. In the beginning, I was shocked because he was just a child and he was able to say that. When I talked to him more, he told me that he used to hurt cats on streets and he wasn't able to stop doing so, and no one helped him to stop so. But our help and our training actually changed his ideas, so he stopped hurting cats and he became so nice and well behaved, and he started to love himself. But if we want to talk about quantitative results, 10 children actually got grants for special private schools. 5 children are going to the contest of patents, and some children participated in taekwondo and took 20 gold medals and more than 5 silver bonds, and 5 children are participating to fight for the final role in taekwondo and in a chess campaign. In a chess, more than 5 children were participating in these and succeeded in these contests. When we wanted to talk to families, actually, we used to gather and meet mothers to notice the positive changes in the life of these children and to know the problems that the mothers are still suffering from with their children, and to know how we can face these problems and help in solving them. And we thank God that we managed to do that. It wasn't a chance only for these children and not for these mothers, but it was a chance for every volunteering person to learn more and to sharpen their skills and to learn more from volunteering ethics. So the children were not only a method for us to do good deeds, but our objective became to help these children to build their generation. We didn't have empathy anymore, but we have love now. We believe that this change is really great because after spending 5 years with these 100 children in schools, we've noticed great results, and we know that we achieved really something important because now these children became strong and good at their families, their society. I think in this way, every children deserves to get a chance in their family and in society and even in life, so you can put these children on the right way. What we can do, actually, this is what we did. We conducted workshops for these children, and in 2021 we are going to set off application that would give a chance to orphans all around the world to get the chance to know themselves and to be active and to discover themselves. So any child anywhere in the world can join this application. At the end of the day, I'm really happy that we reach with these children to a phase because because now these children have something they don't like to lose, and in this way they would be good for society. Thank you. And I'd like to thank Bevol. I'm done in this way. Thank you, Ms. Yasmin, for this initiative. It's one of the greatest initiatives. It's about sustainability and changing the personality of children and working with them. So you continue with them for 10 years till they graduated from the university. This is something really awesome. I can't say anything about this because I'm part of your team, but I really like to thank you. Thank you very much. Now we will play the video of Mr. Ashraf Miqdad that we couldn't play earlier. Now we will play it. Mr. Hamza, can you share the screen?
We just want to listen to the sound. There's no sound, it seems. Did you share the sound as well? We need to have share of the sound as well, sharing of the sound as well. I'm Bara Isamdeen Dola. I study at the first grade in the Faculty of Medicine in Gaza, the Islamic University. I'm one of the participants in the coronavirus campaign to study the antigens. This had increased our ability as students. Interacting with with others is one of the skills that medical students need to learn about. Participating in such a campaign had increased the risk of getting the virus corona. However, we were ready to take the risk because giving others is done because of the high level of aspiration. My name is Tawfiq Inaya and I'm studying in technology of information in February 2021. I participated in this volunteering campaign to study the antigens of corona. This was coordinated with the Islamic University and with other universities. This campaign was on the level of the whole city. The volunteers have been distributed according to their areas, and this was a good chance for us to know about the equipment, the field, the party. At the end, the ceremony, we've been trained on the antigen test. We went to the houses, so we have talked to them, and we asked them to do the test, and we were always welcomed and appreciated. All those tests are the seeds of a good personality for all who have participated in this. At the end, on behalf of all who have participated in this campaign, we all have this aspiration for more experiences and skills. Thank you. Thank you, Hamza. Thank you, Mr. Ashraf Miqdad, for this initiative. Ladies and gentlemen, after this marathon of the words and lectures, now we move to this short break where you can visit the virtual exhibition, and then we come back to continue with our fourth session. 6:30, this is until 6:30, we have this break. Mr. Bashar, yes, 4 minutes, so we come back at 6:30 with Dr. Saad Zayan from France. Thank you. Peace be upon you all. We come back after 4. I would like to welcome you again. We move now to the Mr. Saad Zayan and his lecture about the mechanisms and the field of developing partnerships in volunteering. He's a consultant of the international community for Scouts, and he's an expert in non-governmental organizations, and he's also expert in managing volunteers. He had organized a number of studies about developing the capabilities and managing of volunteers in 60 countries. The floor is yours. Peace be upon you. The floor is yours, Doctor. In the name of God, peace be upon the Prophet, our beloved Prophet, his family and companions. Ladies and gentlemen, the people, I would like to welcome you from Paris. Before I'd like to start this short presentation, allow me first to thank the team and the technical team and the administrative team, whoever participated in making this a successful conference, which is a very important. Mr. Saad, it seems that your sound is cutting. It seems that sound, is it because of the mic? I'll try again. No. We still have a problem with the sound. Peace be upon you. Yes, doctor, the floor is yours. I'll try again. Is it better? Yes. Can you share the presentation the same way you used to? So you speak from the phone and you share the screen from the computer? Yep. Yeah, I believe now it's good. Yeah, now it's excellent. The sound is good, and we have the share screen. All due thanks to Allah. I would like to greet you again for all the audience. My greetings, my thanks for your hosting us and for the Bevol family. My intervention is based on the idea that, or a vision about how to develop in general all the organizations which are for youth or non-youth, specifically the charities and the NGOs working in the social field. First of all, we can say that we need to train the people, and we need to have a structure for that. In my opinion, this shall be followed by all the organizations working in this field, any charity or any institution which is working in the social field, for them to be able to reach the results they want to have to achieve their vision and strategy. They need to have financial resources. So this is the first pillar. They need to have funding, they need to have technologies, they need to have centers, etc. I will not talk about the details of the number one, which is the financial and the in-kind resources. The second part is number three, is the human resources. The human resources is the employees, of course, all of them, and the volunteers who do provide jobs or do something for this organization. At the end, we have strategic partnerships. This is what is called the social and economical model. In French, the model socio-economic model, which is the model which is targeting the social issues, and this is usually is dependent upon the target of the institution. Now, when we say economic goal, this means that we're talking about the financial resources, and capabilities. The human resources are the engine behind of the work. Until now, all the organizations have been thinking about solving their problems by coming with solutions for the human resources issues or through financial resources. However, they didn't think or they never thought about the strategic partnerships, and they were not up to high levels or importance for them according to their eyes. What is partnership understanding? And when you talk about the dictionary of the social work, the partnership is an active alliance which has at least a number of stakeholders, at least two of them, who have independence, however, who are independent of each other, but they agree to work together to achieve a common target or goal, which is related to a specific need or a problem. And this need or problem shall be defined clearly. What are the types of partnerships? The first level of partnership is on the level of information. This means that they exchange information only, they look for new ideas together. Everything which is related to information sharing is included here. Of course, here we are not talking about this is something which is done not through changing radically the institutions' work or organizations' work. It's just an agreement where they say we will be in this field sharing our information about this. Now, in the second level, we have consultations. Here, the NGOs or institutions consult each other on specific issues. This means that they agree on taking new ideas from the partner and change something in their work based on what they came up with after consultation. So this is something which involves more partnership, and on the third level there is participation. So there is an activity which they do together, something they work on together as institutions. This is the last and the upper level, which means the whole information, the full organization has the desire not just to give an opinion or give an idea or a concept or information, but as well to accept to change something they have or to accept the intervention of some other institution in their own activities. This is an example from the youth from Saudi Arabia in the Hajj season. What are the recommendations and the conditions in regard to the partnerships? As I mentioned, the first level is the exchange of information. There are conditions, of course, for that, as you see in the slide. They start on the basis of that so many of the active sides have the desire to exchange information in all the fields, of course. The majority of the activity makers have the readiness to collect or request information. What are the responsibilities for those people in this type of partnership? First, they need to identify as we see here in the slide, the tools, the channels, whether of communication, whether this was the media or other than that, and they need to have an agreement on how to use them. The information second, which is going to be published, shall be related and credible and can be used by all the other sides. In regard to the second level of consultations, they need to agree to be committing together to this or respect this consultation. Second, they need to be ready to give up on some of their privileges to be able to be part of this consultations. And since the beginning, there shall be an identification of where the consultation is going to be taking place in which fields. If this was necessary as well, it's important to come up with a protocol of mutual consultation, so things are clear from day one. In regard to the participation level, it is to provide the mental, technological, financial concept for resources, and to agree to give up on some of the activities or jurisdiction. And I'll give you some examples later. In regard to the recommendations, we need to analyze here the needs, and we need to have an agreement with the partners about how to govern and how to manage and implement the procedures together. At the end, I would like to say that the last thing is to develop the monitoring techniques and the impact measurement of the partnership. Influence. Here are some of the scouts, I believe, in Bangladesh after a catastrophe. I would like to remind you with the meaning of volunteering in Scout movement. As you know that the number of volunteers on the international level in the Scouting movement is about 7 million volunteer, male and female, in more than 162 countries. So the International Scouting Organization is one of the largest volunteering organizations on the level of the world, with the red and crescent and cross, in addition to the organization of women guides. So working in the scouting movement, as I say, is a volunteering job. It had witnessed a number of changes and developments because the societies have been changing and the needs have been changing as well. So the changes have been done to in the concept, in the goals, in the targets, and what I would like to stress here is that the main goal was to provide care and service for the society. Now the goal is different, is an attempt today to change the society itself and to develop it. So now we are a bit coming with something new, and this had started about 10-15 years ago. And this was an important change in regard to the International Scouts movement. Now we have a pedagogical activities. Now we manage the volunteers in a different manner today. So when we talk about the strategy, when we look at the International Scouting movement, in regard to volunteering, there on the strategic level, the goal is to develop, to manage, and to improve. When we talk about development, we mean that we need to have more numbers of volunteers in the scouting movement. Whether in this local level or international level. And when we talk about the improvement of management, we need to improve the attracting of the volunteers, training, support, and renewal of the volunteers. And I will go back to this later. All of this, the development and the management, is to improve the services provided for the youth, to motivate the adults to be part, and they usually are the leaders. They're males and females who are volunteers, as well to have effectiveness and efficiency, as well as human luxury as a final result of all what we've done. So in regard to the organization, we have 3 stages. The first stage is the engagement level, where we start by evaluating the needs, what are the needs inside the NGOs, organizations on the local level. As well, we come up with an analysis of the needs of the society or the environment. And second point is attracting and selecting the recruits. And here we go to merging them in the institution to have a reconciliation between the volunteer and the scouting organization, and then assign them an activity or a job. And this is the first step. The second step or stage is the performance stage. We start by training them. We prepare them for the mission. And then we have follow-up in regard to the activity. And as you see here, we support continuously on our side the volunteers, and we train them and qualify them. It seems that there is a spelling mistake here. Apologies. After that, we look at the evaluation of the performance. Have they finished the performance? And now we go to step 3, which is the decision for the future. Here we shall have motivation either for this person to continue on the task. And here we see that we go back to the second part or stage, or to change the task is number 2. After the request of the volunteer or the organization, or they need to leave this task or leave the organization itself. So this is how we organize or manage the volunteers inside the scouting movement. What is the role of partnerships here? If you talk about, for example, the organizations, it's possible to build partnerships in all what is inside the red circle. And then we have the analysis of the needs analysis. Here we can, of the society, so many organizations or charities, whether in the public sphere or in the private sphere or the third sphere, have ideas about what are the real needs of the society. So it's possible to have this as a partnership field, as well as selection and recruitment can be in partnership with other organizations. For example, you might have students who come from universities who might have the desire but to be volunteering, but they don't know in which organizations they can volunteer to, how they can do this activity. So here we can have a partnership with the universities, with us as scouting organization. In so many countries, we have students who and scouting groups inside the universities themselves in regard to training, qualifying the scouts and of continuous support. As well, here we can have a support, a partnership. For example, there are some specialized organizations like the Red Crescent. They are some of the most active organizations where we have a good, strong partnership with. However, this can be done in all the fields as well. We have seen, for example, that the brothers in Palestine, in Gaza, when there was this COVID pandemic, they have trained and qualified some other youth to support the activity is done inside the universities themselves. There were students who in the medical school who have participated in this activity, and in regard to motivation or in leaving as well the task or leaving the scouting organization itself, you can also direct the people to other organizations. For example, as you see, there's so many potential points of partnerships, so to support our work, not just as Scouts organization, but I believe this model can be applied by so many other organizations. To summarize, I believe that the success of the partnerships is or can be summarized in 4 points. First, we shall select a criteria to choose the partner. So you don't just base your selection on what you want, but you need as well to find a partner who you know understand their activities, their needs, their goals. All of this would make it possible to select the partner in an easier manner. What are those or this criteria? This is first a serious job which shall be done by all the organizations. Second, let's see what is the value of this partner. What are we going to present to the partner in this activity or common activity? What the partner is going to gain out of this? For example, with the Red and Crescent and Cross on the international level, we have done an activity to qualify the scout leaders to intervene in the big catastrophes and to support the teams of the Red Cross and Crescent. So for the other organization, this was an added value of being partners with us as the Scouts. As well, there shall be a management, a practical management of those partnerships, meaning that there shall be someone who is responsible, a male or female, who are just doing the administration of this partnership. As I said, there is governance, a special department for the running of this partnership, and this shall be decided upon since the beginning. At the end, there shall be, I believe, strategically speaking, all the organizations which do something with the volunteers, they need to build a network of partners so that they can use this network directly. However, they need as well to build bridges amongst the partners they work with, not just themselves, because this can come up with a positive result on all the society, not just on the level of the organization. So the more this network is condensed, the better they are to develop the whole society. This is what I've tried to suggest to you in regard to strategic partnerships. I hope that all those ideas and creative ideas and all what we have heard today and yesterday to make our activities better and larger. And when we talk about this university field, there are so many people who are qualified, who we can, if we can make them work for the common good of everyone. And I believe this would improve all the societies. I have reached the end of what I wanted to share with you. All my greetings to you, everyone, and all due thanks to everyone. Thank you very much, Dr. Saad. Thank you very much. Dr. Afrah.
Thank you very much, Dr. Saad. I think now we have a presentation of an initiative from Syria, which is Al-Aish Al-Karim. Al-Aish Al-Karim project from Mr. Mahmoud Zaidiya. Unfortunately, he just called us saying that no electricity and no internet. Just a short while ago, there was no net connection. The good thing is that he sent us his recorded presentation because they expected such a thing to happen. So now we are preparing the presentation shared with us by Mr. Mahmoud about the initiative of Al-Aish Al-Karim from inside Syria. So we will show you this initiative from the recording we have. Few minutes while preparing the recording, and we hope that Mr. Mahmoud can join us and to have power, electricity, and internet connection soon so he can participate. We hope that Mr. Mahmoud and our brothers in Syria all the best. After that, there will be a presentation from Saudi Arabia. Engineer Dayful Al-Ansari. The presentation will be under the title of Initiative of Damak Hayatak. Your blood is your life. Now we are preparing for the presentation of Al-Aish Al-Karim initiative from Syria.
Dear all, I believe we will, the supervision told us to end this Zoom meeting, to end the English channel. And I was just gonna say that if you have any questions or concerns or objections, please tell us so that I can inform, but this is the decision that we have been told to end the English channel, and I sent the Arabic channel on the chat. So please let me know if you don't have anything, if you do have anything, sorry to say. But if not, I believe we'll just end here. Thank you very much for the interpreters. I mean, I believe like Muhandis Bashar already, Engineer Bashar already talked with the supervision of the translation company. So please, if anyone has anything to tell me so that I can tell the supervision, I will be happy to do so. If not, I will thank you all and just end the meeting in a couple of minutes. Okay, so I didn't receive anything, nor in the chat, nor verbally. So I will end the meeting. We thank Maisa and Noor very, very much. Thank you guys so much. You were great. You did such a great job. And see you soon, inshallah, in other, conferences and